party system. No, I must place the unions in proper perspective for people to understand.
Hello and welcome to the program. About 30 days after he was rejected by the Senate, the name of Ibrahim Magu has been forwarded again to the Senate for confirmation as a substantive chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Now, in a letter sent to the Senate last week, President Buhari said he had thoroughly investigated the allegations contained in the DSS report against Magu and had found that he is not culpable. The president also said he is convinced that the acting chairman is actually carrying out the anti-corruption crusade in line with the vision of the administration, urging the Senate to give its approval in order to sustain the drive on the fight against corruption. Now, short and simple, the presidency is more than convinced that Magu is the right choice for the job. But the issue has been generating a lot of arguments. Some are of the opinion that the corruption allegations leveled against him by the DSS are yet to be thoroughly investigated. The DSS, of course, had in a letter indicted Magu of acts that are tantamount to abuse of office and corrupt tendencies. The chairman, Presidential Advisory Committee on Corruption, Professor Ishe Sage, has, however, thrown his weight behind the embattled acting EFCC chairman. Professor Sage says all the allegations leveled against Magu by the Senate were all trumped up to victimize him. The respected constitutional lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria says the aim of the Senate is to discredit the credentials of Magu so that he will be seen as unfit for the job. This, he believes, is because many of the lawmakers may have a case to answer before Magu when confirmed. Anyway, the Senate has now summoned the Director General of the DSS to come shed more light on that report it wrote against Magu. We'll wait and see how all of this pans out. But joining me to take a further look at this issue is Debo Adeniran, who is the chairman of the Center for Anti-Corruption and Open Leadership, CACOL. I also have a lawyer, Dan Abia, with us. Okay, Jim Abia, sorry, with us. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on the program.
It's my pleasure.
Let me start with you.
That's right.
First, just give me your take about all of this. I mean, what do you make of the president resubmitting the name of Magu to the Senate?
We should even start from the submission of the name in the first place. You see, for so long, the president had been searching for somebody that will fit squarely, that is a square peg in a square hole. And the search was thorough. And the person he discovered was that person who was part of the beginning of the EFCC, who was part of the cracked investigative team that's actually nailed most of those that have ever been charged to court by the EFCC. He was actually the one who investigated most of the former governors under Obasanjo, under Yaradua, under at the initial stages of Goodluck Jonathan's regime. This guy has proven himself to be incorruptible. This guy has proven himself to be committed and has been tenacious and has demonstrated the zeal that is needed and the extra dosage of courage that is required for that office. He has demonstrated that he has it. And that is the reason why, even at the level of CACOL, we said that he is the man for the job. And let me tell you, the president, Muhammadu Buhari, couldn't have submitted any other name because every check has been carried out, background check had been carried out before he came up with that. Now, let me tell you, the DSS, let me tell you, there is intra-cabinet issues. There is agency rivalry. There is intra-government problem, inter-arms of government rivalry also, talking about executive, legislature, judiciary. Let me tell you, the DSS, the Director General of DSS is a member of the board of EFCC. just like NA, the Director General of NA, and all our security agencies are in EFCC. Why is it that when DSS got a report, as a matter of fact, they submitted two reports.
Two reports, actually, yeah.
Signed by the same person on the same day, contradicting themselves. One says, confirm this man. The other one says there are allegations. Where did they find the allegations? Why is it that the other one didn't say the allegations were there? Now, one was commissioned by the authority that appointed the DSS in itself, that is Presidency. DSS is operating under the Presidency. If the DSS has a report to submit, he ought to have submitted it to its own immediate supervisor, including the National Security Advisor. They didn't do that. DSS is not directly responsible to the National Assembly. And that is where we smelt mischief. Whatever the case is, if Magu committed atrocious offense or offenses as had been said, Magu didn't have immunity. Why is it that they allow Magu to walk the streets free for so long? They said he took some files home, official files to his house, to official residence. And let me tell you, if you are a senior staff, there are occasions when you see your home as an extension. So there are so many aspects of it. So what we are saying is that the president has done what is right. And we have also advised that if it's going to be 1,000 times that he needs to submit a name, it should be the same man, because it is rare to find this kind of human being.
Jim, it's quite surprising that this is happening, considering the fact that it's actually one arm of government that is responsible for all this confusion, whether or not you like it. As he said, you look at the DSS is an arm under the executive, the EFCC is also an arm under the executive, and then it will appear the executive has not done its own proper homework, so to speak, because a situation where you have, within an arm of government, you have one section now, should I say, countering another, coming up with a report. For instance, the DSS coming up with a report indicting the chairman of the EFCC, and then the presidency coming out to say, well, it has found nothing in that report and it has found nothing wrong. Then something is wrong somewhere. It means somehow some people are not doing their job. Yeah,
obviously something is wrong, and then it's simple. Anybody could say that there is interagency, competition, interagency rivalry between the EFCC and the DSS, and beyond the interagency rivalry, there seems to also be personal, issues, personality issues, between the heads of the two agencies of government. That's why this kind of thing would arise in the first place. Because if you look at it, it would have been a different thing if some name was being submitted out of government, someone who is not in office at all. And then DSS is submitting this sort of report. But wherein somebody is already there, a part of the executive, and then another agency of the executive is saying this person is not qualified to hold this position. And now you're wondering what is happening. And
that person has been holding that position for
a very long time. Position for a while.
And they sit in the same board.
And they sit in the same board. And now you're wondering why, going to another arm of the government, when this is an issue you could have sorted out within yourself. Of course, if you think this person is not, is not suitable to hold this position, of course you could have taken those steps before going out of the executive. But now you've gone out of the executive to go tell another arm that this person, is not fit. Let me give you an instance. If the Senate, the National Assembly, if they have an issue with a member, for certain things done within his legislative operations, they don't go to the executive to tell the executive, look, this person has gone wrong. No, they don't do that. They handle it. There are house rules within which they handle it. Now, if the judiciary, if there's somebody who has, that's why that's why there's the NJC. If there's somebody who has committed a malfeasance or done anything, it starts from that level. Of course, the other arm of government could now look into. It would have been a different thing if the National Assembly, independently of their own, had noticed certain things about this man, Magu, and then come out to say, look, we want to look into your activities. As one of the agencies we appropriate money for, we're looking into your activities. But not for the same arm of government to go to another arm of government to report somebody in the same arm of government. I think there's a serious issue.
And it's quite surprising that, as you have pointed out, that the DSS DG is part of the board of the EFCC,
exactly.
just like the NI, the man in charge of the NIA. And that these people had been sitting in the same board when they knew that allegedly the man who was leading the EFCC was corrupt, and they did nothing about it.
You see, anytime they hold board meetings, it is the same Magu who sits as the chairman of that board. You have all of these security agencies, the head of all the other security agencies at that. Most of the issues that are involved have been discussed. Some of the offenses they counted against Magu had been committed long ago. Magu, like I said, doesn't have immunity, covering him. What? Excuse me. Why is it that DSS didn't think it's fit that while he's sitting on the board, they invite him? Of course, even if he could run away, they sit together in a meeting. They could have invited him, questioned him, and publish a report that will indict him at the level of the court. Why didn't they do that? And also, if there is no sinister motive, why is it that it is the National Assembly that now decide to use the report of DSS, even when they have several other people within the same chambers where they operate who have been indicted by several security and anti-corruption agencies, and some of them are already in court, just like the president of the Senate himself, who doubles as the chairman of the National Assembly. What have they done about the spec, about the log on their own eyes? Why chasing the speck on other people's eyes? Why would they now chase after somebody whose allegations are still at the realm of speculation, when the person that is already oscillating between the assaulted seat of the president of the Senate and chairman of the National Assembly is oscillating between that and a criminal witness box in the Code of Conduct Tribunal? Why is it that they waited for so long, even when before the president wrote the Senate? Why didn't they use the indictment from DSS to nail Magu?
So they could have done that.
So they could have done that, and the president would not have moral justification for forwarding his name anymore. If he committed any offense, they could have actually charged him to court, and he would be on that. But they couldn't do that. When they claimed that he took some files home, he was promoted when he was cleared. So if he did something that was wrong, would he have earned him a promotion?
And another thing, and Jim, I want you to come in here. One other thing is, as weighty as the allegations were,
they are not weighty. Don't
as weighty. Let's just
as they considered it.
Okay. Now let's just put it that way. That as weighty as the allegations were, quite surprising that during the first round of when the Senate, before they took that decision to suspend him in December, it's quite surprising that he wasn't invited to even come and clear himself over those reports. I mean, the report of the DSS.
Of course, you could say that the Senate should have invited him, maybe to throw light on some of those allegations.
And even the DSS DG was not invited.
Yes, was not. But of course, they are inviting the DSS DG. And then you expect that during during the screening, Magu is meant to also be screened, and he is meant to be invited. I mean, that's
they didn't
proper.
Do that.
Yes, they didn't do that, and that is actually not in tandem with what should be. He was meant to have been invited, and part of the screening process is to
because
ask
there was
him
no
a few.
screening. Could we say that, you know, the only reason why this is generating so much controversy and argument now is just because even the Senate itself was, if I want to put it this way, I would say the Senate was sort of tactless. The Senate was sort of tactless in the way it handled this issue. Hold on now. In the sense that if we go back to last year, the issue was not even debated. It was not. There was nothing at all. The Senate just took a decision that they were not going to confirm this man, that the president should submit. So it would appear as if even the Senate itself had an axe to grind in the matter.
Exactly.
And had an interest.
I think that is it. You see, first and foremost, they have not accused Magu of incompetence. They have not accused him that he stole some money. They have not accused him that he misappropriated any money. They are only accusing him of, most of the accusations are offenses committed by other people. Now, we are here now, Jim, you. Now, we don't know what will become another day. I can become very corrupt and steal IDP's money or steal any money that came my way. Will it be fair for somebody to say that because Jim was sitting with me, he cannot be appointed to a position of responsibility? Or that you have money, sometimes you want to go on holiday, you now decide to go to the US. What people should look at is not why you travel to US or to the US. What they should they should nail you with is that you stole the money with which you boarded the plane to the US. What they were accusing Magu of was not that he stole the money to fly first class. And I told them, of course, I told those who confronted some of us with it, that look, there was a time I was forced to fly first class to Maiduguri. Why? Because the airliner had overbooked. And by the time we had to board, there was no seat for me. So they were compelled to put me in the first class. And I enjoy all the benefits of being in the first class. Now, if somebody saw me there, he would say, oh, Debo Adeno is now flying first class, without finding out how did I come about it. So there are several aspects of it that are so infantile. The argument is done this.
For me, I just want us to put those allegations aside, because even the Senate itself is not actually sure. Exactly. You know, it only just took that action and said now it has summoned the DG of the DSS to come and shed more light.
What they ought to have done.
Yes, I expected them to have done, and I believe at some point they must invite Magu himself to come and speak. But now, how do you expect the confirmation hearing to go in the Senate? I mean, this second with President Buhari now resubmitting his name, how do you expect it to go?
Well, I think the Senate should take more steps. Of course, that is part of the reason why they've invited the DSS to come out.
Quite shocking that the DSS would actually submit two contradictory reports.
Exactly. That's why you know, it lends credence to the issue that there is an issue between the two organizations. There seems to be an interagency, you know, conflict, you know, between them.
And but which is not good for this
country.
country.
No. Of course, it's not. But what I expect the National Assembly to do at this time is to hear from the DSS. Of course, Magu had come out, you know, to actually explain how some of these
publicly.
things. Yes, publicly.
But you expect him to
yes,
appear
I stated
senators,
it when these issues came up. I said I was expecting Magu to come out and claim himself, at least in the media. Let us hear. And some of those issues, I expect the National Assembly to also give him the opportunity to come before the National Assembly and table this and tell the National Assembly, look, this is my own position about this. What I expect of the National Assembly is to be thorough. Seriously, I do not have any blames for the National Assembly in terms of what they have done. Yes, maybe it has taken a little longer until you now see a situation where you know, these things have been explained to the National Assembly, and then the National Assembly still insists on not, you know, doing what they should do. Then that's when you know that the full blame now lies on the National Assembly. But when that is not done, it is expected that when allegations come before the National Assembly
it should
about
investigate,
somebody,
especially about
the
somebody
National
who's
Assembly,
confirmed.
exactly, the National Assembly must must hold it down and hear from the parties concerned and know if these things have some veracity to them or not. And when it has heard, it can now make a sound take a sound position. On that. And I expect that is what the National Assembly should do at this time in the interest of Nigeria.
Anyway, I should tell you that the National Assembly has a sinister motive behind all of this. First, they do not want to confirm a Magu because they see him as unbendable.
That's the impression you get.
It doesn't lobby in the sense that lobby is supposed to take place. It doesn't trade away his integrity on the altar of a job. I mean, a plum job that they have to screen him for. The National Assembly had precedence.
We should be talking about the Senate. Actually,
when the Senate, the Senate, of course, they are the upper house, as according. So the Senate actually has precedence. They screened the minister nominees, and when they did that, we heard several that were accused of one corruption crimes or the other. I mean, the former Lagos State governor was said to have at least upgraded his personal website. The former governor of
River State as well.
Well, so they asked him when he was being screened that this allegation, if it was true, he said that, oh, I don't sign checks. And they applauded him. So how much investigation did they do into the activities of the Lagos State, even when they had several petitions waiting for his time at the Senate? But in the case of Magu, they didn't even allow him to say a word before they suspended the screening. But then what they are doing is to waste more time so that to destabilize Magu and his agency from prying their eyes into the affairs of several members of the Senate. Many of them were former governors. They were receiving humongous amount of money from different states they governed before as pensions and whatever. Then they are still receiving salaries. Then many of them committed atrocious, crimes which they wouldn't want a Magu to pry into. If they had asked Magu to bow and go, then we should be suspicious of it. The mere fact that Magu is the best man for the job is the reason why we are having all of this. This is not the first time the Senate will screen.
But the fact is that if Magu was not around today, somebody else would do the job anyway.
Let me come in here.
Of course.
In the case of Lagos State Governor, the former Lagos State Governor, there were petitions. In the case of Amechi, there were petitions.
Yes.
Now, it is different from an agency of government. You see, this is weighty. It is something the Senate cannot close its eyes to. We must cut the National Assembly some slack, especially the Senate in this instance. You see, this is coming from
Jim. Can I ask you? Can I ask you?
That is meant to perform this function. Now that means that they have conducted some preliminary investigation.
Jim,
let me
ask him a question.
Issues before forwarding it to the National Assembly.
Jim, there were two reports signed by the same person from the same agency. The Senate picked one that is negative, that is anti-Magu. Why didn't they pick the other one?
You would not conclude. You would not conclude that the Senate picked one.
That's what they did. That's what is manifest.
There were allegations.
And I think
manifest.
We just have to end. We have to end it here. There's no question at all that you look at it closely, it would appear the Senate's initial action, there was more to it than meets the eye.
It is vindictiveness.
'But the most important thing is, if Magu was not around today, somebody else would do the job anyway. But the question is that you look at it closely, it would appear the Senate's initial action, there was more to it than meets the eye. But the most important thing is, if Magu was not around today, somebody else would do the job anyway. But the question is that you look at it closely, it would appear the Senate's initial action, there was more to it than meets the eye. But the most important thing is, if it is trying to retrace its steps now, and the right thing is done. Nobody is saying Magu should be confirmed if there are weighty allegations against him.
Exactly, and can be proven.
I mean, yes, exactly. And I for one, I don't believe that without Magu, nobody else can do the job. I mean,
of course, there are many Nigerians.
It's just that it's just as a stopgap that will be difficult to fill.
Yeah, actually, even you can do the job.
I'm probably better.
I'm probably better.
Yes.
I know there are other people, but we should not. No,
Magu, there was Deji.
I think the reason why I'm like this is that I don't want the trend that is taken to continue. No, Ribadu was disgraced out to Kuru against his wish. Madam Farida Waziri was dismissed unceremoniously. The same thing with Lamode, which Ibrahim Lamode, that is laughable. That is stole single-handedly, no accomplice, no financial institution, stole 1 trillion naira that could have come in court, in bank notes. Then Magu will be disgraced out. Then no credible person will want to go to that office.
That office.
Okay, so what we have decided at the level of Kakao is that anybody that is found there, we cooperate with them and make them to do that job for which they have pledged to Nigeria that they want to do.
If they don't do, you come
and
down.
if they don't do it, we come on them. And that was what happened during Madam Farida Waziri, which led to the trial and prosecution of James Ibori, the former governor.
All right,
of
gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on the program. Let's just wait and see
Delta
how that confirmation hearing goes in the Senate. But I just think we need to end this very quickly so that we can all move forward. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for inviting us.
We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about something else. Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on DEJI360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.